There's this persistent myth in Silicon Valley right now.
Hmm.
It's the idea that if you want to push the edge of artificial intelligence, you need, $1 billion, a server farm the size of Iowa, and maybe 1,000 PhDs.
The Goliath model, yeah. We just assume that scale's the only game in town.
Exactly. But looking at the sources we have today, that entire worldview just took a massive hit. We're diving into Moltbot and its creator, Peter Steinberger.
And the really striking thing here, I think, isn't just the tech. It's the unit economics of innovation. Steinberger's one guy, a hobbyist.
Just one person.
And yet the sources are arguing he effectively proved that in the current AI landscape, the moats that big tech companies rely on are, well, they're evaporating.
No moats.
No.
It reminds me of that leaked Google memo from a while back.
Sure does.
But here we have a concrete example. So the mission today is to figure out how a single developer managed to reshape the landscape in what felt like, 48 hours.
It really does feel like a David and Goliath story. I mean, the core argument in the literature is that Steinberger demonstrated that individual agency, just one person with a laptop, can now rival the utility of these massive closed-source models.
But I do want to pause on that timeline for a second, because the headlines are a little bit misleading.
How so?
Well, they make it look like Moltbot just appeared out of thin air and conquered GitHub in a single weekend.
Right, the classic overnight success fallacy.
Exactly. If you actually look at Steinberger's commit history and you read the background material, this was months of engineering. It wasn't magic. It was just really clever optimization.
But the reaction, that was instantaneous.
Oh, absolutely.
And that reaction is what signals the real shift. When we talk about a moat in business, we're usually talking about proprietary data.
Yeah.
Or, massive compute power.
Sure, things you can't buy easily.
The assumption was that you can't compete without those. Moltbot suggests that the barrier to entry isn't a wall anymore. It's more like a speed bump.
The numbers definitely back that up. I was looking at the GitHub stats in the report. Moltbot gained tens of thousands of stars in 24 hours. It's sitting over 100,000 now.
Which puts it on a trajectory to be one of the fastest growing open source projects in history. Maybe the fastest.
Faster than frameworks backed by Facebook or Google. But let's get into the why. Why are developers, losing their minds over this? It's not just hype.
No, it's all about utility.
Yeah.
Based on the technical breakdown, Moltbot introduces a kind of paradigm shift in 3 specific areas: locality, agency, and privacy.
Okay, let's tackle locality first. This means running the whole thing on your own machine, right? Not sending calls to some API in the cloud.
Precisely, and that's huge for latency and cost. But it leads directly into the second point, which I think is the real game changer here: agency.
This is the distinction between a chatbot and an agent?
Yes. Most people are used to the LLM, the large language model paradigm. You ask a question, it writes a poem or summarizes an email for you.
It's passive.
It's passive. Moltbot is agentic. It connects to your file system. It can execute code, move files. It can actually do work.
It's the difference between asking a consultant for advice and telling an employee to just go finish a task.
That's a perfect analogy.
All right.
And because it has that level of access to your digital life, the third point, privacy, becomes non-negotiable.
Right, because if I'm giving an AI permission to organize my tax documents or refactor my entire code base, I definitely don't want that data being piped into a vendor's black box for training.
Exactly. By running locally, Moltbot ensures that your data never leaves your perimeter. The sources describe this as a shift from renting intelligence to owning a personal AI operator.
That phrase really stuck out to me too, personal AI operator. It completely reframes the user's relationship with the tech. You aren't a subscriber anymore, you're a manager of a digital workforce.
And that really leads us to the broader implication here. We are seeing a fundamental move away from centralized control, waiting for a feature drop from a big tech company, toward individual empowerment.
The tools are just becoming that efficient. The hardware on your desk can finally run them.
It can. Which honestly leaves us with a massive question to chew on.
What's that?
Well, think about value. If a hobbyist like Steinberger can match the utility of the giants using open source tools today,
Okay.
what happens to the valuation of big tech when every single one of us has a private custom AI operator running on our laptops tomorrow?
That is the billion-dollar question. If everyone has their own expert, nobody needs to rent one.
Something to think about next time you fire up your terminal.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.